Lubo, how you doing, my man? How is your Thursday, the end of the October month? How's it all going for you?
Yeah, all going. Thanks. I'm here. All good tonight. Shame about last night, but it wasn't too big a surprise. So, no, I don't think so. I think you go up to Newcastle, they're going to feel this, that they've got a stronger all-round squad than us. They made changes. They still had a strong team out there. They got those amazing fans, and I think it was a step too far for us with all the injuries. And I say injuries, it's you lose 12 players.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he only played 3 subs. He left Mickey on the bench for a well-deserved rest, and I think it was decided in both boxes where unfortunately we gave away 2 silly goals, and we missed a few chances in the back end of the first half that really, if you had someone like Kane or even a half decent centre forward, it could well have been a different game. So unfortunately, it was a tale of 2 boxes.
Oh, I'm going to say the tale of 2 boxes. That's the name of a different podcast that I might frequent. Before we'll talk about it in much more detail. Stel, big up to you, my man. How you doing? Welcome back. In fact, let me put you up the top, mate. I prefer being the bottom shelf. How you doing, buddy? You okay?
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Big up the chat. Smash the like. You know the drill. Good to be here as always. I'm a bit different to Lubo. I'm not happy. If I'm honest with you, I'm not. I'm not angry. I'm not Frank out. Every single player is shit. I'm not happy because we really could have won that game yesterday, and I don't fully blame the players. I blame the players, and I also have questions of Frank. So I'm a bit indifferent to Lubo. That was the only cup we could seriously win, and I didn't like it. So I'm happy. Yeah, we will speak about it. We will chat about it because I've got a few things I want to raise about that game. So.
Well, yeah. Well, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about it. Look, because there's 3 of us. Obviously, Lubo's on his way back. Sorry, not Lubo. Johnny's on his way back. He'll be here within 45 minutes, hopefully, or if traffic's on the if traffic is forgiving. So, but we've got a lot of time to go through everything. I just want to show you guys the stats of the game because I'll tell you why I bring this up. Right, I did a video last night on my channel, and I titled it "Outclassed by the Team," and I went into the detail, but I was really sort of talking more around. I feel like the overarching narrative for me was that Newcastle United have just got a squad full of absolute monsters. And when I said outclassed was the wrong term, I kind of mean like there was more of a domination in the physicality and the strength and the athleticism. And those sorts of things seem to count more now than ever before. And in the comments of the video, I said that, look, we were beaten by the better team, but there were lots of positives. If you were looking for positives, if you were looking for more in the way of creativity, if you were looking for more in the way of open play, access to the opportunity, whatever, then you saw it. Okay, we're on the bad end of the result, but the performance was better with the ball, at least in the first half. And so it was like there was a caveat, outclassed with a caveat. The comment section, as always in the Tottenham fan base, was entirely split. On the one hand, you had people saying, yep, I don't think we were outclassed at all, Sean. I don't think there was much between the 2 sides apart from sort of clinical edge. And this is why I'm bringing the stats up, because I think the stats sort of support this, guys, right? Like, apart from the XG, 2 versus 1 in a nutshell, we edged possession, total shots, not a lot of difference between them. Big chances, not a lot of difference between them. More saves from their goalkeeper than ours. Not a huge amount of difference between the passes. The stats tell a fairly even game. But in the comment section of that video that I put out, half of the comments were saying, I don't agree that we were outclassed. I think that there wasn't a lot between the teams. And the other half were saying, what positives? What are you talking about? There were no positives last night. We were completely smashed to pieces. So again, like, you two have already disagreed with each other on this. Luba, I'll start with you. Like, what was your overarching take, mate?
overarching take was that with the key moments in the game, unfortunately, Danso got out-muscled twice. On the second occasion, Kinski should never have come out. Once again, you know, we hear we've heard in the chats on social media about Vicario this season. He made errors against Brighton, Leeds, and Wolves. I think we've seen in the last 3 games that he is a mile clear of Kinski. There's no argument on this one. And I know people call me old-fashioned, and I haven't moved with the times because football is about ball-playing goalkeepers now. But you can keep all your, you can keep your great passes from Kinski. If you can't keep the ball out the net, it's no bloody good. And for me, right. You look at what Vicario did against Everton and Monaco. If it hadn't have been for him, we'd have probably had 2 defeats there, the way it was going. He kept us in the game at City at 0-0 with that one-on-one with Marmoush. I'm good, thanks, Futures. And for me, that was a massive negative for me, unfortunately. Vicario was injured, couldn't play. Kinski comes in as the number 2. And like last time, the last 3 games I've seen him play, forget Doncaster, Arsenal away, Trossard's shot went under him. Villa away in the cup, the ball's gone through his hands in 50 seconds. And last night, and he's just not ready. I don't know why. We spent 12.5 million on him. We had Austin there. We had Keeley coming through. We got Gunter coming through. It was a complete waste of money. And for me, the sooner they get rid of him, the better. Because he's not up to it. He's not up to it. And for people to turn around, some people turn around and say, look, it's difficult for goalkeepers when you're not playing regularly. Well, look how Ramsdale played yesterday. So that sort of knocks that argument on the head. The other area for me was up front. We had a very good 20 minutes after Fabian Schär put them 1 up between 24th minute and half time. Thought Bergvall and Sarr had their best 20 minutes of the game. And again, nothing up front. Just nothing. I mean, the ball came to Johnson on one occasion. He hit one nice ball across that Richie just missed. He just put the ball off the first time the cross came to him. For that. He's poor. Richarlison, Jesus, he's just getting worse and worse. I mean, he's overrun across from Bergvall. All he had to do was time his run and just pass the ball into the net. And goals.
Becoming a habit a little bit with our nines, isn't it? Matisse Tell's done it 3 or 4 times this season as well.
Goals bring momentum and swing momentum in a game, and we had a really good chance there to put it back. He could have had 2 or 3 easily. Richarlison, there was a header straight at the keeper. He was 6 yards out. I mean, just horrendous. And you look at it and you just think to yourself, with Richarlison and Johnson as our front 2, what chance have we got for scoring? It's and unfortunately that had a major bearing on the game. He should have hooked Frank should have hooked Richie earlier and brought Moani on. If I'm going to criticize Frank, then that's the criticism. There wasn't too much more that he could have done. He wants to, he kept Mickey van der Ven in cotton wool with Romero injured, and we don't know whether Romero's back Saturday, Tuesday, the following Saturday, or after the international break. And you don't want to lose Mickey as well. If Van der Ven's out, who comes in? Gray's now out. Davis is out. Sakai's not fit. Dragison's out.
Lubo, can I ask you a question on this? Because no one's really asking this. Why is it when previous managers had an injury crisis, we didn't show this kind of sympathy and this kind of empathy? Yet with previous managers, when they had an injury crisis, deal with it, adapt. Why is it there's a different energy here when it's the same problem? Because the manager got all the blame last season for injuries. Now we've got injury crisis. Who are we going to blame now? Levy's not here. He's gone. And Jane here, so he's gone. Who are we going to blame now?
Ange got blamed for the injuries for training. And
okay,
also
who are we blaming now, though? Who are we blaming now?
In terms of, well, the difference between injuries...
Because the injuries are getting more and more, aren't they? They're increasing.
At the moment, I mean, we had 12 out yesterday. You've got your long term with Maddison and Kulu. Dragoson's nearly there. He's back in a few weeks. Sakai, God knows. I mean, we haven't even seen him. And the rest have all been injuries that have been picked up over the last 3 months. Contact injuries, unfortunately, you can't do anything about in games. That happens. I think the difference. Why did Ange not get sympathy regarding
because he was moaning about it all the time
last season? I'll answer that. As far as I'm concerned, it wouldn't have made too much difference because whoever was playing, Ange played a suicidal 2 at the back system with inverted fullbacks and left us wide open. So it didn't matter which personnel was playing. He played like an under-10 coach. So for me, that was the issue. Yes, he had injuries.
So why are you talking about injuries now then? Don't bring up injuries when you're talking about yesterday's game.
No, but Frank has
you've just contradicted yourself. You're saying, but Ange played this silly system, so you want to talk about injuries. But
injuries were a part of the narrative under Ange. It was Ange that was bringing it up every 5 minutes. Whereas Thomas, I sort of feel like the opposite still. I feel like because Thomas Frank sort of has this "it is what it is" approach and doesn't really mention it, that he doesn't like some people that want to have his back are more likely to raise that topic because if it's not coming from the manager, then it's liable to get forgotten about in the analysis. Whereas Ange Postecoglou would mention, everything and anything. He'd say, "Oh, I'm not making excuses," and he'd love to do that double talk thing. I'm not someone to make excuses, but here's 25 reasons why it's not my fault. Whereas Thomas Frank hasn't done that. Thomas Frank sort of said, "Yeah, he's another one down. It is what it is."
So what you're saying to me, Sean, let me get this right. So what you're saying to me is, if the manager moans about the injury crisis, then we need to go in on the manager. But if we have a similar injury crisis, but the manager doesn't moan about it, then the manager gets protected, regardless of the fact that we have the same problem, regardless of who the manager is. Because let's not forget, Mourinho, when we were top of the table and we were going into January, we lost Kane and Son simultaneously. Mm-hmm. We lost both our strikers. I think the point I'm trying to raise here, guys, isn't it now being proven that, forget Ange, any manager, we have got an issue at this club when it comes to injuries. Something still isn't right with rehabilitation, with the way we train them, with the way we monitor them, with the way that we look and evaluate medical and injury issues at the club. There is a fundamental issue at this club because it just happens all the time. More so than most clubs, I would say. It seems to happen to us way too often and with too many players. I think Frank's got every right to moan about injuries. If he came out and moaned about it, I'd say, do you know what? I don't blame you. This is ridiculous. Right. The injuries we've got is insane. I
hear what you're saying. I don't think that we were blaming. Well, there was an element of people that were under the impression that the reason why we were getting the injuries, the sort of injuries we were getting under Ange, was because of overtraining. Right, I think that was it was a lot of hamstrings. It was a lot of those types of things.
Yeah, like Van de Ven was down to Ange. His hamstring was down to
and Romero.
Right. And Romero being listen.
And Romero, yeah.
I think that you're probably right that there's inconsistency with the application of blame for those sorts of things, for accountability. I don't know who knows whether it was Ange's fault. I hear you on the application of accountability inconsistency, but what I would say is I think that with Ange Postecoglou, there was a lot of, for people that were getting frustrated with him, there was always a lot of double talk. There was always a lot of, both things can't be true in what you're saying. When he was saying things like, the injuries aren't my fault. You're accusing me of the injuries being my fault. They're not my fault. We don't train anymore. But at the same time, he's going out and putting out a back three for the first time for 45 minutes against Everton. And then it's then saying, see, it doesn't work. Now let me get back to my traditional model. There was always this kind of salesman-like, in my opinion, the way I saw it, there's always this salesman's like rationale as to why whatever was going wrong wasn't his fault, but at the same time, saying, I'm not the sort of person who makes excuses, but here's 15 reasons why it's not my fault. With Thomas Frank, he's not going down that path. And so when people are attacking him, the people that want to defend him are sitting there and kind of are raising those topics on his behalf because he isn't the person who's bringing that attention through the media. I think there's just a different approach from the horse's mouth as to what's going on within the club. And therefore, if the manager's not the person who's talking about it, it doesn't get the same sort of attention through the media, and therefore those people that want to defend him will bring that stuff up on his behalf. And I think that's the main difference. But maybe there's agendas at play as well. I think there's a hell of a lot of point scoring that goes on within the Tottenham fan base.
Listen, I don't disagree. I actually wouldn't mind if Frank came out and said, fan base, we just need to be realistic over the next month or so. We have got a lot of injuries. We will do the best we can with what we've got. We're going to keep doing what we do, but we just need to be a bit realistic. We've got loads of games. And I actually wouldn't mind if Frank came out and spoke about it. So I think actually the way he is with the media, he would deliver the message in such a way that fans would say, do you know what? Yeah, fair play. Because he is good with the media. He's eloquent in his explanations of what's going on. So I think it might actually help him if he spoke about it, because Vicario's injured now out of nowhere. I didn't even know that. I was saying yesterday, I went on a couple of shows after the match, and I was saying I'm pissed off Vicario was dropped. He's our most informed player, and we drop him. But now, what I said is incorrect because he's injured. Frank was absolutely right to start Kinski. So. I think it'll be good if he spoke about it, personally speaking. I mean, would you guys think he should maybe come out and just talk about it a bit and say, look, it's not an excuse, guys, but this is pretty savage at the moment. We're dropping like flies.
Well, I just made a list. You've got your 4 long-term injuries in Kulu, Maddison, Dragusin and Sakai. You've got 3 players who got injured on the training pitch, based on the reports I've seen, which are Gray, Odebear and Solanke. And in matches, although Basuma wasn't even playing for us at the time, we've lost through match day injuries. We've lost Romero, Udogi, Vicario, Basuma, and Davis. So it's a real mix. It's a real mix. Whereas last year players were being overtrained, they were actually playing because they're overtrained. They were in the red zone after 45, 60 minutes, and that always risked an injury in the last 30 minutes of every game. So, thankfully we haven't got that this season. We haven't got. We're playing a mix of high line and low block, so the players generally haven't had as many recovery sprints as they did last season because of the slight change of system. But we still seem to be getting injuries here. So I don't know.
It is odd. It is bizarre that it's almost like there is a curse on the football club, Lubo. The fact that we have got 10, 11 injuries under a Thomas Frank system, who, by the way, doesn't train that much either. Like, to give Ange a little bit, I hate harking back on the past, but to give Ange a little bit of a breather on this one, the reality is that when you are playing twice a week, you do spend 2 days playing, 2 days traveling, 2 days recovering. So, in a week, you're probably going to get 1.5 days on the training ground. So the logic's in a way where you think, well, how is it that Tottenham players are always injured disproportionately more than any other football club? And by the way, our players that go on loan, they never seem to get injured. So there is something weird about the amount of frequency and the consistency in which it happens.
That's so true. The players that go on loan don't get injured.
Yeah.
You're right. That's a good point.
Is there something wrong with the training ground? Is the grass at the training? You know how the American football players always say, like, playing on the NFL pitch is different to traditional pitches in America.
Yeah.
Is there any is the training ground built on concrete or something? I don't know. It's like I can't put my finger on why it happens, but it does happen.
I think there's something fundamentally flawed with the medical process. Assessing when players should be rested, assessing when players' rehabilitation is properly completed, assessing when players need to just be given a break, assessing when players come back too soon, assessing the actual injury itself, treating the injury. You look at all these injuries we just listed. None of them have come back. It's like, right, they get injured and they stay there. It's like, well, surely you've got to come back. Like, we don't. It's not as if one gets injured. Oh, but we got Ben Davies back, or another player gets injured. All right, okay, Kulu's back. It just adds to the list. I don't understand it. There's something has to be wrong in that.
And these other stories, right, where players come to Tottenham, break down, barely ever play. It's not Sessegnon's not the only one. You know, who's the other guy? The Israeli player who went to Leeds. Manor Solomon, right? Yeah, he comes to Tottenham, doesn't play for 2 years, goes on loan, absolutely fine, comes back to Tottenham, breaks down.
Sure.
goes out to Italy or Spain, wherever he is, and he's absolutely fine again. There is probably a curse. Someone has cursed Tottenham Hotspur.
Well, you got and you got Solanke from the current squad, who seems to be regularly injured, and he was never injured playing for Bournemouth, Chelsea, Liverpool. So
I guarantee you, if Kudus gets injured, he'll be out for 4 months. He'll be out for half a season, something. You know it. Paulinho, ACL, never happened in his life. Suddenly, just
Lo Celso's another one. Brian Hill's another one.
Yeah.
Like, we sign these players, they get injured, they go on loan, they're absolutely fine, they come back and they break down again. There is something going on with regards either the training pitches or the weather, or I've got no idea what it is, but there's something more to it than just bad luck.
So Harry Kane had a constant injury. Remember, he had a foot injury that always used to come and bite him, and he'd be out for 2 months and whatnot. And then he went and got an external personal physio medical team, and his injury went away.
Yeah.
Right. Is that not the answer right there? He went and personally paid for private.
An exorcist.
Someone with a voodoo doll and a pin. Just
an exorcism of the Tottenham training ground. It's madness. Well, it's madness.
Maybe we need to outsource the medical department. Just outsource it to some third-party company. Just say, look,
I think they already do for some of the serious injuries, right? I think Maddison gets out. Maddison's knee injury got treated by. There was a documentary, or he put it on his channel, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think we're cursed as a club anyway. You know, you look at we're just about to go fourth, and you got Lasagna Gate at West Ham.
Yeah.
You know, fast forward it to the Champions League final. They changed the rules the day before the final, and Liverpool get a penalty in 21 seconds. I mean, still the worst decision I've ever seen in my life, ever.
I think it was the correct decision, though, according to the rules at the time.
Well,
you know? But the rules were changed about 2 weeks after that happened, wasn't it? You know, so
yeah. So I just, you know.
But let's talk a little bit about the game, right? So not the specifics, but I do want to ask you this, because the kind of the commentary in the zeitgeist from everybody going into the week was Tottenham's football is boring, right? We're set piece FC. I can't stand this. You know, three quarters of Twitter is like, they don't care that we beat Everton. It's unacceptable to play this way. It's horrendous. They want to see more creativity. They want to see more attack, more flair, more Tottenham way, all that kind of thing. Against Newcastle, we didn't get any set pieces. I think we got 2 corner kicks the entire game. So we didn't get a chance to do the set piece FC thing. The first 25 minutes of the game were probably Newcastle's, but the second half of the first half, when Tottenham finally grew into the game, I think I saw some of the best football in moments that Tottenham have put on display from open play in weeks.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think there was some lovely football. There was some nice first time passing, and and moving off. I think Simmons, although it's for me, he didn't touch the heights or get near the heights of Brighton, where I thought he was brilliant for half an hour. You can see he's improving. You can see he's getting on the ball more, and with that will come more and more confidence. Love the way he went after Joe Linton after Kudus got classes. So he's no bottle job, that's for sure. That for me was a positive. I thought for that period before half time, Sarr and Bergvall picked up their game, and they played as you want to see them play. Lovely ball in from Bergvall again. Richie was nowhere near. A lot of there were positives. If we'd have had a decent striker, we'd have scored goals in that 20 minutes for sure.
Did you like seeing? I'm not sure whether you would call it a flat three across the middle still, or was it Bergvall that was playing in the 10 and Bentancur and Sarr playing in that double pivot? I'm not really sure how you would describe it because I think there was a little bit of fluidity. But I think there's a lot of people have been questioning Bergvall's profile. What is it that he does? For the first time in weeks, I saw some connectivity between the midfield and the attack. I hear what Lubo's saying around if you had different players in certain positions. If you had Mawani on from the start and the same chances fell to him rather than Richarlison, maybe it would have been a different outcome. But but did you like Bergvall's involvement? I thought he was. I thought he was much better in his ability to kind of just bring other players into play.
Can I tell you my thoughts on the game, and I'll discuss Bergvall as part of it?
Sure.
Because my overall take from it is I'm not happy because this was our best chance